I want to share with you my first lesbian encounter, as described in my book, The Fuck List. I love saying the word fuck because I'm not supposed to say it for no good reason at all. It's just not supposed to be said. And the rewrite called What I Did for Sex. I divorced my husband over it. I did a lot of things for it. Let's begin. First of all, let me read to you the preface to my book. The preface. Okay, hold on. Dreams. As a young woman, I dreamed of college, a loving husband, a beautiful home, and staying home to raise my children. I got all that. I didn't dream about sex. I figured sex was something that would keep happening, and if two people loved each other and liked sex, the sex would be good, at least for the first 2 years while it was new and exciting. So when it became boring, I thought that was normal. I didn't dream about the kind of woman I would be for my husband, and whether he would be pleased with me and look forward to coming home. By the time he came home to the kids and not to me, I no longer cared if he came home at all. I didn't dream that when the kids were older, I would find a renewed interest in my husband, a surging sexual desire for him, and a readiness on my part for intimacy, vulnerability, and connection, of which I was not capable before. I thought husbands liked sex and closeness with their wives, and that he would be happy with the new me. I didn't dream about divorce. I would like to read to you now about sex with women, page 26. Let's see, page 26. So this came right after my story with the line cook, who I call Griffin. Let me just finish the last part of my section with Griffin, because I just made a video reading about the line cook and how my dad said I was a dog. And then there was also the part where I got an abortion. My mom lent me the money for the abortion. And, okay, so I kept seeing Griffin, although I wasn't satisfied in the relationship. I didn't enjoy intercourse that much, and sexually I was not impressed. He never gave me an orgasm or sexual pleasure of any kind, and I was too shy to masturbate in front of him, even after our threesome with my friend Shelley. I had my secret life away from him, my private place where orgasms happened, alone in my bedroom at home. Griffin and I mostly had missionary or girl on top intercourse, and I often gave him blowjobs. Sometimes I pushed my large breasts together, they were D cups back then, okay, and stroked his cock between them. I don't recall him ever going down on me. Over a year into the relationship, Griffin asked me to get into a new position, doggy style. I felt ashamed, as if I was a dog, for being in a dog position, which seemed degrading. Yet I wasn't going to be one of those girls who said no to everything, so I endured being fucked like a dog and convinced myself it was okay. I was glad when he was done. I was probably 16 then, or 17. Eventually, his adult world could no longer compensate for the lifestyle differences between us, and since I didn't have any feelings for him even after 2 years together, I ended it. Now we get into sex with women. I was intensely curious about sex with a woman, especially because I was turned on watching those Playboy centerfolds. A gay bar would be a place to find women for sex. I used my fake ID to get into the only gay bar in Omaha, Nebraska, the Stage Door. Strobe lights beamed down over the large dance floor and loud disco music blared over the speakers. I was mesmerized by the sexy vibe of men grinding on each other, women kissing, and performances by glamorous drag queens. One night at the club, I noticed a blonde at the adjacent table, smiling at me and holding long eye contact. She walked over and sat down next to me. She leaned close and I smelled her fragrance like a flower. She was Eve, a 35-year-old lesbian. Now notice she was like twice my age, okay? Her age was intimidating because she was twice my age, a real adult, and what would I talk about with her? She leaned even closer and put her soft lips on mine. I'd never kissed lips like that. Her lips were softer than the lips of any man I ever kissed. I was curious about touching her body and clit, so I invited her over to my dad's house, which is where we kids were staying and having parties while my dad and his girlfriend were on vacation. Eve and I walked hand in hand to the master bedroom. We filled the jacuzzi tub, added bubbles, and played and kissed in the water. I wasn't turned on by any of it. I couldn't wait to get to the good part. We wrapped ourselves in towels and went in the guest room. She lay on top of me and we kissed. She ground her pelvis on top of mine. She did it so long I got bored. Is that how girls did it? Did she like my kisses? Should I just let her grind on me? Was it okay to touch her clitoris, or would that be rude? Would she get mad? Was I allowed to be dominant the way men were with me, or did I need to be slow and passive like she was? I had no idea what to do with a woman. Just then the bedroom door opened. It was my brother. He saw us in bed together and quickly shut the door. We laughed at getting caught. Eve asked if she should leave. I told her it was fine to stay, so we went back to grinding and kissing. She went down on me for a few minutes. I liked how her tongue felt on my clit. She gave me an orgasm. I couldn't wait to have my turn. Her vulva smelled sweet and musky like corn tacos. I started licking her clit and I liked it. Here, put your fingers in me, she said, and placed my fingers inside her vagina. I licked her clit again. She stopped me. She pushed down on my fingers. If she liked penetration, why wasn't she with the man? I did what she wanted. The inside of her body felt warm and moist, and her vaginal walls felt strong and muscular with ridges. Did my vagina have ridges too? I did not like fingering her. I wanted to play with her clit. I moved my fingers in and out of her vagina. My wrist hurt from it, and it didn't turn me on. She leaned her head back and moaned. She pushed down hard on my fingers, so I moved my fingers deeper, faster, and harder. My wrist was really hurting, and I couldn't wait for it to be over. How could men enjoy being with women when women were so much work in the bedroom? She moaned louder, and then she had an orgasm. The books were right. Women could orgasm from penetration. She apparently did not mind I was sexually broken, because she was a woman and could overlook such things. I didn't like our encounter. I was disappointed I didn't get to play with her clitoris, jealous about her vaginal orgasm, and mad because she knew how to have vaginal orgasms, yet had not bothered to give one to me. She was 35 years old and a lesbian. She should know what to do. Do I sound like a bitch? The next day, Eve sent flowers to my home. Not just any flowers, but an enormous bouquet of long, white, expensive-looking flowers. Why is a woman sending you flowers? My mom asked. How did she know it was from a woman? My brother must have told her. I don't know, I said, because I was embarrassed to tell her. My mom smiled and walked back into the kitchen. Maybe she was glad I had sex with a woman and not a man, because she thought men were bad and women were more evolved. Eve and I hooked up again the following week, and a few times after. I had an orgasm each time. That was different from how it was with men. With Eve, I felt like the sex was about us, not just about getting off the man. Shortly after we met, Eve left for India to live in an ashram. When she returned a few months later, she and her new girlfriend stopped by the bar where I was working. They said they were celibate. After my first Girl on Girl with Eve, I continued going to the gay bar. I was attracted to pretty butch lesbians. A slender brunette with a hip short haircut and pretty makeup caught my eye. She dressed like a man. An undershirt peeked out underneath her man's shirt, and she wore jeans and boots. I liked how she moved on the dance floor. I went over to her table. Her name was Tina, and she was also 18 years old. We wanted to hook up. She lived at home and couldn't have me over, so I invited her to my house. I was living with my mom. I figured my mom wouldn't know I wouldn't mind. My brother was away for that weekend, so we went into his bedroom in the basement. Tina asked me to turn off the lights, which seemed odd because I liked seeing our bodies. Didn't she want to see mine? She lay on the bed and I climbed on top. I liked kissing her soft lips and feeling her soft face against mine. I noticed the absence of a hard bulge to grind on. I slid my hand into her jeans and she didn't stop me. I was glad. She wasn't saying anything or making any noises, so I wasn't sure if she liked what I did. I moved my hand into her damp panties and felt my way around. Her vulval lips felt full, soft, and warm. She allowed everything I did. I moved past her outer labia and reached inside to a treasure trove of slippery wetness. She was soaking wet. I remember that still. I grasped finally how aroused she was, and it was because of me. I took off her pants and fumbled around her inner lips and folds to find her clitoris, but I didn't know where it was in the dark. I thought I should know my way around a woman's body. I finally found a hard spot which seemed like her clit. And by the way, when I say clit, I was looking for the button part. I didn't know when I wrote this book that the clitoris is internal and 4 inches long. I didn't really have that knowledge at the time when I was doing that, although I write about it later in the book. But I didn't correct it then because I was looking for the button part for clit. That's what I was looking for. But I didn't know how hard she wanted to touch and how to move my fingers. Would you like to be touched in the same way in places I liked? She didn't make any sounds and she didn't say anything. She seemed as inexperienced as I was. I moved my fingers around in that slippery wetness, and eventually she started to breathe heavily, and then she stopped, and I think she had an orgasm, but I really didn't know. I lay down and Tina slid her fingers on my clitoris, but it didn't feel good. She had no idea what she was doing, so I stopped her and masturbated while she held and kissed me. I saw Tina once after that, but since we had nothing to talk about, it all felt awkward, and we never saw each other again. So, then I have a section where about vibrators. I heard many women use vibrators. I was curious how a vibrator would enhance my masturbation. I drove to an adult store in downtown Omaha. Back then, you could only get them in a store. You had to actually walk in and ask for it, which was hugely embarrassing. But I decided to have a little fun with it. So here we go. And I was like 18 at the time, okay? I used all my courage to go in. The store was stocked with dildos, lubes, vibrators, pornography videos, and lingerie. I browsed through the videos and selected 2 for purchase. I went to the front to ask for help with the vibrators. Many of them looked way too big and had dildo parts, like, phallic. Some were discreet and looked like a lipstick case. I needed something that felt good and could be easily hidden. The retailer showed me several vibrators and turned them on to show how they functioned. Did he feel aroused holding those vibrators, imagining I could be holding it on my clit when I got home? You gotta wonder, come on. Don't we all wonder that? All his vibrators were loud. It was ridiculous to make vibrators with so much noise. How could I relax enough to orgasm when everyone in my house could hear my vibrator and knew I was masturbating? Do you have any quiet vibrators? I asked him. No, he said, they all work by vibrating and the vibrations make noise. The vibrator designers were idiots. What's the most quiet vibrator you have? I asked. Well, if you want less noise, choose a smaller vibrator that uses only one AA battery. He took a tiny vibrator out of its packaging, put a battery inside, and turned on the switch. It made a whirring sound. This works, ma'am. Okay, I'll take that one and I'll buy these videos. He put my vibrator back in the packaging, pulled out a black plastic bag, and put my vibrator and the dildos inside. I was a little stunned. The unmarked black plastic bag was not pretty like the clothing store bags, boldly labeled with the name of the merchant and colorful graphics. His plastic bag reminded me of paper sacks used by alcoholics to hide their beer. Were adult items equally shameful that they had to be hidden in dark bags? Was the store ashamed? Were the other customers ashamed? And should I be ashamed too? One thing that guys often are, women also have told me in bed is I think too much. I'm just curious, Okay, I drove straight home eager to try it. The whirring sound was even louder in my quiet home, too loud for me to use in my bedroom with my sister and mother in adjacent bedrooms. I waited until everyone was out of the house and then I turned it on. Put on some music to play over the whirring sound. I held the vibrator on my clit, and within a few minutes I had an orgasm. It wasn't any better than the orgasm I had with my fingers, but it was less work. Porn and the missing clitoris. The next time my family was out, I put the porn videos into our home VHS player. The videos made me cringe because the acts looked painful and violent for the women. The women looked high on drugs and made fake moans. I was sure they were not wet and had to use lube. The action revolved around penises and cum shots, and blatantly missing was kissing, sensuality, men ejaculating inside of a vagina, and orgasms for women. I found a few clips where men went down on women, but they always stopped after a few licks, making it appear like a clitoris was just not worth the bother. My friend said porn was made for men, and the men imagined being the male actor fucking the women. That proved to me conclusively that men did not enjoy giving oral sex or pleasing the woman. Still, I couldn't understand why the women did not complain about the bad sex and why their orgasms didn't matter. I graduated from high school. It was 1979. That fall, I enrolled as a freshman at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. I debated majors in pre-med, biology, and engineering. I didn't know what I wanted for a career, and I envied people who had that figured out. I skipped classes when I didn't feel like going. Sometimes I went out at night and hooked up with guys I met at the bars. The men were nice, but they didn't care if I had an orgasm. I felt used because it seemed they got all the pleasure out of sex. Men were useless when it came to orgasms. I had my orgasms from masturbating in the privacy of my room. Sometimes I used my vibrator under my covers so it would be quiet. Usually I used my fingers. That summer I took a 6-week-long meditation course at Maharishi University of Management and obtained more mantras, which deepened my experience during meditation. That fall, I enrolled as a sophomore at Maharishi University of Management. I liked the curriculum because we studied each subject for 1 month at a time, and all knowledge was tied back to the unified field, the same field of silence we experienced in meditation. In college, I no longer let my orgasm slide. After the man had his orgasm from penetration, I expected him to get me off. I taught him to use his fingers to rub my clitoris. That's when I started a bad habit. Performance moans. To reassure my partner, I liked his touch and keep him entertained so he wouldn't get bored bringing me to orgasm. I wished I could just lay in perfect silence and say that feels so good and I want to lay here and just enjoy it, but I was too embarrassed to talk in bed, so I moaned in short, heavy breaths. If the man took a long time to bring me to orgasm, the quick breathing often made me lightheaded and my fingertips became numb. Then I would tell the man I had moaned too much, again a testament to his prowess, and I needed time to catch my breath. When he started rubbing my clit again, I usually had my orgasm before I got lightheaded again. The whole thing sucked. And when I had been drinking, it took me even longer to orgasm because my body was numbed. Yeah, I just forgot all that stuff. So that's only on page 20. Now we're on page 33, and this book has over 400 pages, so there's a lot more to it. I also go into my marriage, having children, being a mom, marital sex, having sex with women, lesbians. There was a lot of lesbians after my divorce, hooking up with guys in their 20s for 2 years, and some of the emotional devastation. They would just hook up with me and just leave me. The women always wanted to have lunch with me or have a sleepover, and the guys could just fucking leave. Don't tell me men and women are the same when it comes to sex. They are not. Okay? In my experience, they treated me completely differently. And I do prefer men. I don't even like having sex with women anymore, to be honest. I don't. Sex with women was out of curiosity, and also when I was really unhappy with the way my husband treated me in bed. And women seem more concerned about my pleasure, actually. So these books are available on Amazon. I hope you can check them out. If not, thank you so much for watching my video.